Alrighty, today I'm just doing a little video on all of the little bead bottles I made. I couldn't sleep last week, and I had like a bunch of beads and I own a hot glue gun, so I'm like, well, why don't I just make like a couple of little bead bottles for my dolls since I had all these cool beads, and I'm like, I don't know, I just kind of got into it, and by the time I was done, I ended up with like 73 of these. I counted them. There's 73 of them. So I thought I would just do a little video on them because they're really neat. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. Some people suggested I should sell them. I don't really think they're that great a quality. But, you know, they're cool. Yeah, they are what they are. And I got my hot glue gun out, and I got a couple more. I just went and got some quick, because I ran out of supplies, actually. I made these until I ran out of the supplies to make them. So I went to the store and I got some more supplies, and real quick I'll just show you a couple on how I make them. Just so this kind of is not just like a boring, oh, I'm going to show off my stuff video. So yeah, I'll just make a couple, and hopefully if you want to make these, you can make them. They're pretty simple. I just use hot glue. You could use E6000. It's just that I wanted to make them fast and have them set up and not have to like sit there and hold each one for like minutes and minutes for them to set. But if they start, I mean, it's holding pretty well. If they start to fall apart, I'll go back in with some E6000 because I do have some. But for now, they're hot glued and they're working out just fine. So anyway, the next part of the video will just real quick show you how I make a couple of them. Alrighty, so I've got my supplies out. I've picked out a couple of beads, and I've got some head pins, and I've got, these aren't really necessary, but they just make them look more fancy. These are bead caps. And you're going to need probably some jewelry pliers. You're definitely going to need something to cut the head pins. So you're going to need at least something to cut. And I got my hot glue gun. It's a low temp. I highly recommend them. With the or at least one that you can change the settings on. Doing stuff this small on the really high temperature, you're going to burn yourself. You're working with small things, and you're going to get a little glue on you, and this way you're not going to completely burn the bejesus out of your hand. But I haven't really had a problem with it. I'm pretty good at placing the glue at this point. It helps if you have beads that kind of stand on their own. Then you don't have to put a base on them. But if they're, beads that are rolling around, what you can do is you can, do a double head cap. You can do like one of these big head caps as like a base, like that, and you can kind of, but yeah, whatever it is to make it sturdy and make it sturdy like a bottle, whatever. You're going to want to pick out a bigger bead for the body and like a smaller bead for like the cap or the stopper for the bottle. So I've just picked out a couple of things. Probably not going to be using that one. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. New tripod. Actually, it's a tripod I had. I totally forgot about it, but it's like a tabletop one. Makes this much easier. I can get really close into my desk now, so it really helps. So I think I'm going to start with this round blue one. So first, I start with like the head pin going down. So I actually start with like the cap bead first. I do it like the opposite way. I like doing it this way better. Depending on the little bead that you're using, you may or may not need to put, like if the hole on your cap bead's too small, you might need to like put one of these like little crimp beads in there to kind of like help keep it on there. But that's just what I do for the first bead, and then I take, I make sure I do this on camera enough for everyone to see. I just kind of take, and wipe off. You're going to want to wipe off any excess because you don't want to get excess glue on anything. And I just take the head pin and I just kind of, and I have the bead already on there ready to go. And I just kind of like bead just like a little bit of glue on there. And then I push the bead all the way up and then I pull the excess glue like so. And actually, oh, where did I put my little scissors? Crap. I usually have like a little pair of scissors to trim off the excess, so I guess I'll just use this one. And then you've got, like, you know, this tab of glue, and you can just trim that. And then I have like little scissors for this usually, but then you don't even know it's there. And that it's not really meant to really like hold it in, but at least holds it in place while you're working with it. And you're going to pull off all the excess glue strings. And then usually I want like something in the middle. I've got large and small bead caps, so I'm going to do one of these. Ooh, that's a big one. I want a little bead cap for the next part, because you're going to want it to, you know, look, you know, kind of like a bottle. So that would be the next part. And I do the same thing where I just take my hot glue gun and I just put a little glob of glue, just a teeny one, just enough to hold it in place, and I push that up. You want to make sure it's straight. And like I said, this isn't really to hold it so much, it's just to hold it in place while you're working with it. Just so if they're not, the beads aren't flopping all around. You just need a tiny bit, because you don't want a ton of glue like hanging out and making it look bad. So then we've got, you know, our cap. The next part is I will, you know, figure out which side I want to go into. The sides, the flatter side, so I'm going to want it to go in here. Sometimes with these ceramic, this kind of bead is coated on the inside with ceramic, like powdery, so I usually have to glue it twice, because I have to glue it and like make a plug that's the right shape, and then all the powder makes it pop right out, and then I gotta like heat it up again and do it. But so then I just got, you know, my bead on there ready to push up. And for this one we're gonna use a little more glue because it's got a bigger hole, and I just kind of put a glob of glue around the stick, and then I push that bead right on up. And then we've got ourselves the makings of a bottle here. Alright. So you can kind of see how it's kind of starting to look like a bottle. I'm going to find a bigger bead cap here for the bottom. And you just have to like figure out what looks good. You might want to do a base like that. You might want to do two. You might want to like do one going this way to kind of like go like that first, so it looks really nice, and then you might want to do a second one to make it a nice sturdy base, which is what I think I might do with this one, just because. So it's going to end up, and you can kind of like, before you glue things down, what's nice about this way, you have the head pin, before you glue things down, you can like, you know, go through and like stack them and see how it will look when it's done, which is really nice. So that would look kind of nice like that, I think. I don't know if I want to do two, that seems kind of much. Maybe if I do a small one and then the big one, that might look a little better, because I think that one was just a little bit too much. So something like that. Sorry, I was off camera a little bit. And then maybe something like that. And that lets you like look at it before you're done. This kind of more looks like a lamp than a bottle, but you get the general idea. So let's finish this up. I'll show you how I finish them up real quick, because I don't want this video to go like too long. So I'll probably only have time to do one, because we're already at like a bunch of minutes here. So again, have my cap ready. I just spin it. And oops, I got some glue on the bead, but that's okay, because you can take that off real easy. And I just push it up, and it cools down, you know, not too slow, so you don't have to worry too much about getting, you know, touching it and getting burnt. That's the beauty of the low temp hot glue gun. So just give it like a second or two, and it'll be nice and set. So you've got your, you know, the start of your little bottle here. And then before I do this, actually, I figure out how far I need the stick to go, because at this point we're just going to use the stick just to kind of give it a guide to set in there, in that stand. So then, since I've got my bottle ready to go here, I just snip off. I leave a little bit sticking out just to stabilize it when I glue it, and then I just snap that off because I just want a little bit sticking out so that it helps stabilize it in that hole when I glue it. So then when you're at this point, you can just take a little bit of glue, and again, you don't want too much on there, just enough to hold it in place. And you can't be too slow, you gotta be kind of quick or the glue will harden. Just kind of get it in the hole there. The nice thing about hot glue is if it's not quite to your liking, especially if you use metal pieces, you can just, you know, make sure there's no excess glue on the end of there. And you can kind of, because this is still hot, you can just go in there and kind of like let the heat work, and you can just like press it in better. Like that, and then you can also put a little bead of glue on the bottom to kind of make it more stable if you want. Oh, that was a little bit too much glue. It's because I have the camera in my way. I'm trying to, oh no! Yeah, this one is not working out so well. I've never used these kind of bead caps before, so this one's not working out so well. The nice thing about hot glue is it's easy to remove if you messed up, so let me just get in there, and I can just touch literally the hot glue gun to the sides of this, and it like reheats everything. And once it's hot again, you can kind of just, you know, be careful of course, but you can kind of just stick it in there and make sure all your glue strings are off. This one's a little bit wobbly, so I don't really know. I've never used these kind of bead caps before. I just had like flat beads for bases before, but then, you know, you've got yourself a decent looking little doll bottle or miniature bottle for whatever. But that's the general idea. Working on like the really small scale ones, I would recommend, you know, just like if you want to make like a really tiny bottle, I would recommend, you know, using small beads obviously, but instead of using like a big, you know, bead cap for a base, you can use just like a jump ring and like carefully glue it to the bottom. That's what I did on a lot of my really small bottles. Let's see if I can, I'll pull one out so I can show you, because I'm not going to do any more because the video is getting long, but unlike my really tiny bottles, see, I just have like the top bead, a spacer, the main bead, and I just glued a jump ring to the bottom for stability, so that because when you're working on the smaller scale, you don't want it to be like too grandiose or it's not going to look right. But yeah, that's just how I make them. It's pretty simple. It's kind of a fun little craft. I can probably do one more. We're only at 10 minutes, so I'm going to do one more bead for y'all. But I'm going to do this neat, funny looking one, because this one obviously, you know, it's kind of hard to deal with because it's wobbly, so you're definitely going to need to base it in. I got this little crystal for the top. So again, I start with the head pin, and first I see if whether or not I need to add, but luckily that looks like it's gonna hold it, so I don't need to add a crimp bead or anything to make it stay on without falling off. So again, same process, just put a little dollop of glue on there, push the bead up, take off the excess glue, and it's holding it nicely in place. And since this one's got a really narrow top, we're going to want a really small one. One of the tiny, tiny ones here. Because it's a really, oh, there we go. Lol. Alright, so that one should be good. And like I said, doing it this way is really nice, because you can like slide things on before you glue them down, and like, ooh, that one came off a little, and just like test out, you know, where it's gonna put, how it's gonna look when it's together. This one looks okay. Sometimes you might want to add a spacer bead just to make it look like the bottle has more of a neck to it, and that's always fun too. So I'm gonna throw a crimp bead on there and see how that looks. Ah, no, I lost it. It's under, see, now I can't get it because it's underneath the tripod arm, so I'm gonna have to grab another one. Okay. So let's see how that looks. And you can, and like I said, do it this way. You can always just like test out things before you're gonna glue it down. This kind of makes it look like it has more of a neck. And of course, when you glue it in place, you're gonna make sure it's straight and everything. Right now it's really crooked, but see how that kind of makes it look more like a bottle with like a stopper with a neck. So that's always a way to go. I think I might try to do that real quick. So put that there. And this one is coming off. See, sometimes they don't want to stay on, so you gotta like go in and add just a, you know, reheat the glue that's on there and just add a little bit more glue. And just take off the excess because it's not going to burn you. It's a low temp hot glue gun. Just take off the excess. I have I don't know where they are right now, but normally I have like a little tweezers and a little scissors to take off the excess. So with crimp beads, you really don't need a lot of glue. And I'm just gonna put the crimp bead in place. Just a tiny bit, because it's a crimp bead. You don't need a lot. And I'm just gonna make sure it's nice and straight. Push that up on there. And because this is a metal bead, because it's crooked, I can just go in with the hot glue gun and touch it, and it will heat it up and heat the glue up. And then you can like kind of reposition it the way you want it. Which this one is being annoying. Okay, that's pretty straight. That's pretty straight now. And then, you know, as you're going, just pick off the little excess strings that come on when you do hot glue, because you want to make sure that those are all pulled off. Okay, get that on. And there's already some glue hanging down there, so I'm just going to reheat that, because if it's not reheated, it'll get in the way of pushing up the other part. Just add a little more for the bead cap, just a tiny. That's a little much. That's a little too much. Oh well, it'll be okay, because I can always pull off the excess later. Like I said, that's why I like hot glue. Like later I can go in with my tweezers and my fine scissors and like take off that extra lump that's sitting there. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to have this video go forever, but I'm just going to do it like that. And then, you know, I just figure out how I want it in this and see how that's going to look as a bottle. So anyway, you get the general idea. I'm not going to finish this one because I'm running out of battery actually on my camera. So if you like this video, give me a like. If you want to see more videos, subscribe to my channel to be notified. And I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.